Okay, we are live now. You can start.
Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ibrahim El Diftar, and I have the pleasure today to moderate a very interesting panel about 5G technology. Today, I have, as part of the panel, two hands-on experience experts who have actually developed and deployed 5G into live networks. Here, I would like to welcome Noura Bellouma, who is a senior manager in DO's technology architecture team, as well as Amer El Mutawa, who is a manager in the 5G infrastructure build-out team in DO. Uh, Today, we would like to discuss openly the different aspects of 5G technology. It's not just about the technology itself as, I would say, a new generation of mobile networks. It's more about how this technology can enable us to innovate. How can you correlate between the hackathon 2.0 and the main goals of your competition and your innovation into this hackathon could actually benefit from 5G technology. So maybe if I would start first by Noura, and very warm welcome to this panel, Noura. Maybe I can start first asking you, your 5G phone, what is the maximum speed that you have attained on those network?
First of all, thank you so much for having me in this panel and speaking about the 5G technology. And regarding the speed, it will go to 1 gigabit per second and
Wow.
above.
Wow, that's
So
actually fantastic speed, Nora. So
definitely.
is this the only thing that we can get from 5G? Is just compared to 4G? Is it the only high speed, the gigabit speed that we are getting out of 5G, or you see different opportunities there?
Actually, the differences between the 4G and the 5G coming with amazing skill set, if you want to compare it to the 4G, which is the high bandwidth, low latency, and low density. This is the beauty about the 5G. In other words, you can view videos in milliseconds. You can download the videos. You can see streaming some of the videos on YouTube very fast and very smooth. We won't see even it's streaming in the background.
Hmm. That's actually very interesting. Apart from that, what do you think of 5G as a platform that you can actually build upon for more than just speed?
Let me take you back regarding the technology. The 5G is the fifth generation wireless radio. And we go back, we used to have 4G and 3G and 2G. And the people who witnessed the 3G, they used to have basic web browsing, if they remember, and it was so slow. And after that, when 4G came, you could use an application similar to Snapchat, Instagram. The social media started with the 4G and it was smooth. But now when you have the 5G, you will see a new application even that is coming. You will have the streaming, video streaming in specific. It's going to go higher and streaming application will go higher. And a lot of application now is coming with the streaming features and facilities.
That's very interesting potential ahead. Thank you, Nora, for this. Maybe Amer, you have experienced 5G at home, and we heard Nora saying that she experienced it more than 1 gigabit per second on her mobile handset. So what was your experience having 5G connectivity to home? Is it better than fiber, less, stable or less speed? How have you found it so far?
As Noura have mentioned already, one of the key features of 5G that it supports is the ultra low reliable latency. This allows machine to machine and other features to work seamlessly without having any interruptions or any staggering. Now, one of the features, or let's say the things that 5G will open up, is that it will enhance the VR and AR, the virtual reality and augmented reality for users as well. since things that currently have latency issues cause some nausea and similar issues that let's say VR and AR users are currently facing. So using 5G will eliminate that. And as you mentioned, like using it myself, it's the download speed, the upload speed, they are really incredible compared to the 4G network. And it's not even comparable to each other.
That's really good. So,
Can I
based
add
on
one thing?
yes,
Brahim,
please,
sorry.
go ahead. Yes.
Just to add, usually when the 4G, we were speaking about headsets, our phones. But with the 5G, we're not speaking about only the handsets. We are speaking about handsets, houses, transportation, vehicles, any devices, electric devices, it's working, it will be connected to the 5G. So it's a new horizon, a new expectation, a new enablement for a lot of devices to be connected through the 5G.
Yes, actually remind me about something for 5G, what we use typically to say that everything that could be connected is going to be connected. And one very good example is actually a startup in UAE who is actually connecting palm trees. So imagine that the tree is being connected to the network. So and basically how this connection is happening through IoT device that's basically measures the characteristics of the tree, making sure that it is reporting back to the farmers or the institution who is responsible for that, anything related to temperature, humidity, any disease, or let's say, or some onset for diseases as well. So I like this when you're saying that it's not just handsets, it's actually about connecting everything. That actually takes me to the next thing that I would like to discuss with you, Noura and Amir. 5G is not just a speed boost, right? So we agree that we have more potential for 5G and more opportunities, and how, like, we tend to call it the innovation platform. So having 5G as an innovation platform, and maybe let's think about what we can do within this hackathon that we have. For example, we have different themes, and maybe, Noura, if you allow me to ask you about one first theme, which is about smart, sustainable cities. I actually see a lot of nice challenges there, and one of them is coming from Russell Khema, saying that can we actually, I would say, use artificial intelligence, and we can develop a better experience for transportation in the city. How do you think 5G can enable such kind of different transportation experience for the operation of the transport solution itself, let's say the fleet management, as well as for people who are going to use such kind of transportation? How do you think 5G can actually play a role here?
Okay, so just to give you again the characteristics of the 5G, it's high speed and low latency. So by this, you can what we can enable in the automobile industrial field, that the vehicle can speak to another vehicle. Let's say you will install an IoT devices, can collect a lot of characteristics, whatever is happening on the vehicle, and this can communicate to other vehicle. Let's say let's say a lot of people usually, especially nowadays, we have a lot of fogs, okay? And going from Dubai to Abu Dhabi usually is very risky during this weather. With the 5G and having the IoT installed in these vehicles, they will have a fast communication about there is a low speed in this vehicle. It seems to be there is an issue, or maybe there is a weather. And all these input that will give the other drivers who are going toward this road to reroute to another street, so they will avoid the congestion of this that street. This is one of the things that 5G can provide. The other thing is for the vehicle fleet, the owners, they can track their vehicles. They can see the speed of these vehicles. They can see how much fuel they utilize, the idle time of it. If there is any latency in a millisecond, it's not about that they will get the report by the end of the day. They will get it immediately through dashboard, let's say. So this is the beauty about it. And now what they are speaking about, not having even connecting vehicle to vehicle or vehicle to industries, is having the connection from vehicle to everything. When you are going to drive by your car on that road, this vehicle will be connected to each IoT element through this road. Let's say the traffic signal, the radar, everything will be connected to each other, and for sure will be their specific output. Maybe I'll be very imagining about, let's say you are driving your car, very speed, high speed, and out of sudden the traffic signal, it will become red and you have very high speed. Maybe the car will have that intelligence through the 5G connectivity, that it will slow the car automatically. So here we are reducing the accidents. So there are a lot of use cases you can think about it, but every day they are discovering what they can utilize the 5G and the IoT to enhance the transportation.
That's very interesting to hear, Nora. Thank you for this. If I move to another theme of the hackathon, and this is actually one of my favorites. So let's move from the streets into inside our houses. We spent quite some time, I would say, during 2020, staying at home. And personally, let me speak about my personal experience out of that. I actually spend a lot of time playing video games. So one of the themes that we see actually in the hackathon here is how to innovate about esports and video gaming. So Hammer, can you tell us what 5G can enable us to have as different gaming experience, and how we can actually use such kind of applications for the well-being of people who are, playing game and basically making them happy by having better experience? Do you see that there is something 5G can enable for this from a gaming perspective?
Definitely, Ibrahim. Now, step back now, 5G, one of the key features that it will bring to the field is that the network slicing. So network slicing will enable us to build, to metaphorically speaking, cities of networks or operator networks within each domain. So we can have a network that is completely dedicated for automobiles, for them to communicate between each other, and another network dedicated for gamers. This will enable us to have the ultra reliable low latency that is needed for us to, for the gamers to be specific, in order for them to enjoy their games at low latency and less staggering while gaming between each other. As well as I mentioned previously, for the for the augmented reality and the virtual reality. Now, having this low latency and the quick upload link of the data to the gear that they're wearing for them to vision the game, it will be much quicker and seamless to them. So they will feel every action that they take, it will reflect immediately. This will give the gamers a much better experience gaming within these fields. As well as, if you can, talking about competitive gaming, I have a lot of friends that are into that field of gaming, and they're facing a lot of issues, competing with each other, especially with the high latency that they're facing. They're gaming with the people in the US or Europe or other parts of Asia or Africa. So 5G will definitely eliminate that obstacle that they're currently having, since they will have their own dedicated network that will be completely dedicated for the gaming purposes, and it will be mainly focused on the latency and the download and upload links.
That's really very interesting. I feel excited actually to think about these capabilities. Being a gamer myself, that's number one. Number two, that I have kids who actually play a lot of video games. So having this kind of happiness for them and for me is really great. So thank you for sharing this insight, Tam. So let me pick on this one. AR and VR, to you, Nora, augmented reality and virtual reality, things that we will actually have, I would say, will it change the way that we play? I would say, Amr has already mentioned that, but it will also change the way that we, have our own education. Again, coming to the times of lockdown and staying at home, kids actually are getting their lessons online, correct? It's not only about the education part, the health part as well. Can we visit, if we cannot visit hospitals, can we have some sort of remote check? What are the possibilities that 5G is enabling us to have such kind of better video education experience remotely, as well as better healthcare opportunities remotely, Nora? What do you think about that?
For sure, it will enable a new features and services. Um, uh, as Amr, he was mentioning that the virtual reality, it will be a wow factor for the gamers. We can use the same thing for our kids at home by having the lesson not only to be through screens, but they can have it virtualized. They can sense it. So imagine that you don't need to go to school. The school or the class will come to your home and everything will be real. The teacher will be there. You can feel that it's real. She's just opposite you. The student can be next to you. There is a new feature that I do believe has been announced on GITEX this year and last year for 5G, which is the hologram, where you can see the person on 3G. I do believe one of the use cases, they had a band and a singer in different location and they were singing together and it was amazing. You know, it was like they were together in the same place, but actually they were separated in different location. But it was seamless for the of whoever was looking at them and listening to their music. So the same thing will happen. The class will come to home. The kids will have a 3D experience regarding learning a new skill sets, and new words, and a new subjects. And it will be much easier for the school to provide such a kind of services to the student. Because let's speak nowadays, when you put the screen in the front of the kids, they'll be roaming around. They don't understand what's happening on the front of that screen. But imagine that will let them to have this the mounted headset for the VR and looking to the teacher and maybe seeing the numbers or the letters playing around them. It will be a different experience. So I do believe the 5G will add a more value and a new features for teaching from home remotely. As going to the health sector, definitely the 5G is one of the booster for the health sector that will enhance our services there. Where one of the simple use cases that everyone thinking about it usually when you have the ambulance and you have a critical situation in that ambulance. So until they arrive to the hospital, they will keep updating, but they won't keep updating constantly. But imagine that already. That person having his vital data updated automatically to the hospital. So once it reached the hospital, already the doctor and the nurses are much aware what was happening during the journey from home or wherever location till he reached to the hospital. This is one of the simple use cases, and for sure regarding even the electronic medical databases. It will be up to date and synchronization and geographical level. You will not need every time to update or to keep synchronization, which usually takes time. It will be in milliseconds. All the hospital will have the updated electronic medical files. So this is one of the simple use cases, but I'm sure the 5G will enable more use cases, more services. It will enhance the medical sector for sure.
That's actually a huge potential. So, I mean, like you remind me with like my son, he is 10 years old and he once saw like a VR head-mounted, VR kit. And he told me that I like this one. What can I do with it? I said that, one of the demos that we also have, I think it was in GITEX this year and maybe the year before as well, is how we can actually, what's the difference between an experience in 4G and 5G using the VR headset? Because of this ultra low latency in 5G, you can basically, you don't need to see the ball to kick it and score a goal. You can actually, just have your headset and it will in real time, make you feel that you are synchronized in full body synchronization to score a goal. 4G, you don't have this kind of capabilities. My son actually liked it very much. And I still have a promise to get him a 5G enabled VR headset. So, that's, I mean, like, I don't know his reaction if he knows that he's going to use it as well for studying, not only for playing. So, that would be, something to experience. So these possibilities, Amr, do you think there is an expansion of this into the enterprise world and also into how we can actually work in more efficient way? Let's face it, we understand that what used to be before COVID is different than what's coming after COVID, right? It's kind of cliche right now, the new normal, and saying like, okay, things are going to change, and the digital transformation that has happened for all enterprises, and we as well as people have seen a lot of digital elements into our lives during the lockdown. How does it look like for enterprises? How does it look like for the future of work, Amr, based on the 5G technology? So what do you think about that? What kind of shift and transformation we'll see there?
Well, as we have seen through the lockdown and the interruption of or let's say the lack of availability within the offices, a lot of operational work was on hold or was struggling to take place since people needed to be there by themselves. So 5G and I would like to bring AI here as well, since both of them will enable things to be done remotely and autonomously. So AI will be able to, especially since we'll have the big data and the high upload and download links that will support the AI, we can feed our AI modules or the automation modules a huge package of data, which they can analyze and make sense of, and based on that take decisions. So if our engineers or our operational people are not available in their offices, the AI that is being monitored and let's say being parented by another engineer during this phase could be able to give accurate and take proper decisions regarding let's say which tasks to take, whether to shut down a server or move it, shift the traffic to another server. So we will have a lot, the downtime would be much less with this 5G and AI enabled within our Do networks or any other mobile operator network as well. The part where there will be, let's say, a huge throttling on a single server or service, this would also be eliminated, since while there won't be an engineer on site, the machine itself will be able to know that it is being overloaded and there's another machine that is running on another side that can take the traffic. So it can by itself take the decision to divide the traffic between itself and other machines that are available on the network. They will be able to communicate which information went to which machine, and if another machine needed that information, it will know where exactly it is. So it will have this sort of intelligence to take all the decisions, all the measurements needed in order for the network to flow properly without any issues. If you'd allow me, I'd also like to take a step back on the topic that Noura was discussing. Now, the 5G, I mean, the virtual headsets and the medical example that was given, 5G also enable, I mean, theoretically speaking, and I'm looking into the future to some extent, doctors will have a lot of ease, let's say, using remote surgery. So they will use machines in another country where the patient will be, and they'll be in another place using their VR or augmented reality. And through that 5G network, they will be able to perform surgeries and other medical procedures with precise precision.
That's actually a huge landscape of innovation. I'm really happy to hear that, and I think it is enlightening as well to all of us here in this panel to think about these possibilities of innovation. What 5G as a platform of innovation can actually bring. 5G is not just a next generation like mobile network. Yes, it actually fulfills that, but it is full of opportunities. As you mentioned, Amr, the network slices, making sure that drones are getting different treatment than people. As you mentioned, Nora, the opportunities that we have in education, in healthcare, the opportunities that we have as well in the enterprise. So 5G can enable a totally new, I would say, autonomous operation of enterprises. So imagine Jabal Ali, for example, in Dubai, being autonomously, managed and reported back. So you can basically, have smoother movement of goods, less disruption to services due to outages that you can predict and you can act upon beforehand. So really very great to hear that. I'm happy to see that. Maybe a last reflection. You mentioned something about this use of AI and data in Do. Maybe come to this to you, Nora. We talked about this connectivity, VRs, sensors, everything that can connect will actually be connected to 5G. That's a huge amount of data, right? So how can we actually think about this, the use of these data for different, not just the use case itself. We discussed about the use cases itself, but can we build on this data to make, better well-being for the whole nation, for the enterprises, for us as individuals? What do you think about that, Nora?
If you can rephrase the question again, Ibrahim.
Yeah, so saying that, for example, we have a lot of data coming from, different sensors that we have around. And this amount of data will help us to generate new use cases just based on data. So we have the connectivity and making sure that you have, for example, let's say the example I put as a connected tree. So this connected tree can actually report on diseases that have in this specific tree. But do you see an opportunity that we can use this data in other, I would say, other areas, other applications? Let's have an example of a Do customer who is, using his or her handset. They are having different profile, watching Netflix, watching YouTube, Snapchat. Is there a way that you can use this data to give some sort of differential experience in a different way?
So when you speak about the data, as you remember, the worldwide, everyone was speaking about data lakes and how it's important the data. Everything is based on data. So if you have the right data, you can just build the required action, which is the AI now that we are speaking on it. So yes, if you have the data and any kind of data, you can build any kind of intelligence that it can correlate between the events and the attributes, and after that can enhance the experiences. One of the things that we are enhancing to collect the data in our daily work and operational tasks. There are a lot of input and failure. So there is an artificial intelligence can pick up this and enhance automatically and fix the issue without, let's say, an employee or engineer involvement in it. So yeah, it's a wide that we can utilize it. So this is one of the areas that we are looking into it. But for the customer, let's say, for the 5G to go back, it all depends on the customer. Like if you have a municipality, you will provide them a use case based on their requirement, different than let's say different than other manufacturers. So each business will have a specific requirement for the 5G and based on the data that they would like to utilize it. And I'll just tell you one thing, the 5G is just a horizontal platform that will enable the IoT, the AI, data lakes, and all of this. It's, I do believe someone is speaking about the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So the 5G is the enabler for this. I hope that I addressed your question correctly.
Yeah. Very much spot on. Thank you, Nora, for this. Maybe we can look at if we have questions and answers around here. I can actually see a question coming. Okay, that's about PlayStation 5. Will be there like a 5G PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5? That's an interesting question. 5G networks, I think maybe Amir, can you comment on that, is capable of handling such kind of different devices. Do you think that gaming in the future will have like 5G integrated connectivity rather than just Wi-Fi? Maybe this could be, how I rephrase this question.
Definitely, Ibrahim. I mean, the gaming industry is a pretty huge industry by itself. The number of participants, or let's say the gamers around the world, it's really huge. And if you can look at the esports, every year it grows huger than the year before it, and the prizes as well gets much more bigger than it usually was. So definitely there will be support for 5G on whether it's PS5 or Xbox or Switch or PCs. I'm not sure if gamers have been part of the development of the 5G, or let's say the studies behind the 5G network, but they definitely took a huge part in it. Since, as mentioned, downloads, the latencies, people will not feel it anymore. So instead of waiting for a game to log in for, let's say, 4 or 5 minutes, it will take seconds or even less than that. So definitely gamers would really enjoy 5G and they should opt into it.
Yeah, that's interesting reflection. Thank you, Amir. We have actually another question, but maybe from Khulud, if you would like to elaborate more on that, because you mentioned real-time data. So that could be, something to maybe to elaborate on. It's not clear here. But we have a question from Alia, Alia Dahrani, if I'm not mistaken, about بالنسبة للعمل في الوزارات, which basically I think it's around how the government can actually make use of this 5G data connectivity and availability of data and AI. Maybe Noura, what do you think about that? Do you see opportunities as well for governments to make use of this, not just industry?
Yes, and just to clarify, the thing about the 5G and what exactly need to be done, that we need to speak to our customer about the potential about the 5G, because when we speak about 5G as a technology, but about the use cases, yes, definitely. Each enterprise, they will have their own specific use cases based on their requirement. The only thing, again and again, I will go back to it, is low latency, higher speed, low intensity. So if they understand these attributes that 5G can provide, they will have amazing utilization for the 5G. Maybe one of the use cases that I'm thinking of it, maybe في الوزارات بشكل عام، بتكلم باللغة العربية. في الوزارات بشكل عام you will need to communicate، ولازم تكون عندكم data sharing is major في الوزارات. فأتوقع مثلا ويا ال 5G it will be up to date, it will be synchronization. Maybe وزارة الطاقة خلنا نقول عندها المصانع، عندها الانفراستراكشر، عن طريق الاي او تي وال5 جي you will have up to date what's happening في المصانع. في مشاكل في المصانع you will have up to date reports rather than just communicating لأصحاب المصنع عطني الريبورت. I'm not sure about it, but this is one of the use cases. I'm just thinking about it. But again, if we can sit with each enterprise and we discuss about the beauty about the 5G and the feature that it can get and it can facilitate, I'm sure they will have a specific use case that it can serve them. And the 5G is totally different than the 4G and the 3G. This is what we need to clarify. 5G is, يمكن إبراهيم أو عامر, you can add to it. It's a new concept that we need to communicate it to the enterprise in very simplified terms, so they can utilize the potential that 5G can provide.
Thank you very much for this.
If you'd allow me here, just here it comes to play the the different implementation methods that mobile network operators can take to implement the 5G network. Now we have the 5G standalone and we have the 5G not standalone. The not standalone version, it's basically just higher bandwidth and gives us more speed on the internet level. The standalone is where we want to participate, and as Noura mentioned, for the municipalities and governmental sectors, having this network slicing, we can create this separate, theoretically speaking here, or let's say based on the features and the analysis that we have so far, we can create this separate network that is connecting all these governmental entities together, where they can share their data without having any, let's say, fear of interference or any other, let's say, entity participating within that network without their authority. So they will have this very strong, high-speed connectivity between each other, where they can share that data and analyze it based on their requirements, in low latency and within, let's say, reliable data as well. So they will make sure that the data that is transferred from one place to another, it is accurate and they can depend on it. So it is a huge thing to be done for the, let's say, governmental sector.
Yeah, and tremendous opportunities. I think in what we actually have explained is also part of the themes for the hackathon. So how we actually contribute to the governmental integration, where we can have actually also the contribution of citizens into this digital experience, how this could be, improved as well. I actually have seen this as one of the challenges for the hackathon. So participants, I think you can actually start to take some notes. You have some very good ideas about 5G and the integration of AI and data here from Amr and Noura. Khulud, okay, she clarified what she meant by the real-time data. She actually commented on your part, Noura, saying that the real, like when we talk about avoiding incidents and accidents happening to cars, it's about 5G giving the ability to have real-time data being updated all the time. So yes, I think this is aligned with what you have already mentioned here as well. Excellent. So I think we are coming to, okay, so very interesting question again from Khulud about the approach in UAE regarding 5G readiness towards cybersecurity. Do you think, Amr, maybe we can elaborate about the aspects of 5G cybersecurity and what kind of readiness maybe that you are doing in DO specifically, if it's possible to share on high level?
No, I mean, for the security aspect of the 5G, to be honest, it's out of my domain. But what I can give as an input here, these things, I mean, 5G has some bandwidth that it is working through. On the 4G, we had from 600 megahertz up to 2.5 gigahertz. So now on the 5G, we're talking somewhere from 400 megahertz up to 24 to 52 gigahertz, depending on the implementation. So the regulatory here, they will decide on which bandwidth to be used for which purposes. So they will give every sector or every domain a certain bandwidth to be working on. On a security level, this will improve things for the user, since they will be able to make sure that certain bandwidths are used for certain purposes and no interference will be happening between different elements. Definitely the 5G has its own security aspects that improve. I mean, we all have seen the issues that were on 3G and 4G through the securities. Now 5G will bring other modules to the core network, which will be able to manage the security threats. One of them is the authentication management function, the session controlling functions. These different components within our core network will make sure that the right person is given the right access to the right session, so that there won't be any, let's say, hacking or let's say malicious attempts that are taking place through our networks.
That's very interesting aspect as well. Thank you, Amr, for highlighting this. And the cybersecurity in 5G, I mean, because we mentioned everything that could be connected will be connected. It's actually, maybe increasing the risk exposure for different devices right now. So it could be an opportunity for malicious actors or hackers basically to reach out to the devices that we have at home. So good that you already, I would say, give us assurance that there's proper authentication functions being, done there, malicious detection of threats as well being implemented in the 5G network. So it actually helps us to, as consumers, to feel as well, confident that the 5G networks are quite secure and they are, up to the challenge of all this connectivity. So thank you, Amr, for this very much. Noura, maybe because we are approaching the end of our panel discussion today, and I'm really happy that we have this live conversation. Maybe a last thing that you would like to give to the participant of this hackathon. What do you actually suggest as you mentioned different innovation opportunities related to different themes? So as something that you would like yourself to see as a consumer. We talked about, governments, and we talked about, education and health. But if you give your own personal reflection on what you would like to see as, innovative use case coming from 5G plus data plus AI, what do you have the imaginary situation you're thinking of?
Maybe to fly without an airplane. To be realistic is maybe the most interesting thing that I would really like to see the 5Gs contributing to it is the education. I do believe the education become one of the main sector in 2020, and there was a lot of obstacles and challenges that we would like to enhance and to overcome it, and even to be ready as from another pandemic that the education is supposed to be much easier for our children. So this is one of the areas that I really would like to see the use cases is happening around us.
Thank you very much. Amer, what's your most favorite theme? The thing that you would like to see, more ideas in the hackathon and more use cases being developed around 5G and data for the participants here.
Well, going back to the pandemic and the lockdown, that we have faced previously. Now, one of the things that I have missed a lot is hanging out with my friends, visiting family, and seeing people. Video call doesn't fulfill that. So having the ability to, use virtual reality to actually go visit someone from your family or your friends, hang out together with them, virtually have a cup of tea or virtual dinner together, open discussions, play together as real as possible. That would be something I'd really like to see.
Good. So I actually as well like to see a lot of use cases around the education part, the gaming part. Myself, I like that as well. The tourism and hospitality. So you mentioned that if you can fly without planes, like that, like nobody knows. Maybe I can transfer your hologram, and have a virtual experience of where you would like to do that. So that's really very cool applications. So I would like to thank you, Noura, today for being with us in this panel, as well as to you, Amer. It has been really my pleasure. I hope that the participants as well have found it quite insightful, sharing your own experience being part of one of the 5G service providers in the whole world. Actually, there are quite few, less than 100 so far. So we actually have the privilege being one of the leaders for that. Thank you very much for your time today, Noura and Amer. I'm really glad to have you here. Thank you very much. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye for now.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.